And I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it. See my slides, right? Yes? Okay, so welcome. We are going to give you a review today. Here's the agenda. Let me move to that. So we're going to talk about today what it's like voting or how voting is done in North Carolina. There are three ways to vote in North Carolina. You vote absentee by mail, in person during early voting, and in person, of course, on election day. And we will go over the rules and regulations for this. And we will generally give you an election timeline for this. And at the end, Val will talk about the League's Vote 411 program and lead you through how to use both the computer-based website, Vote 411 website, and the Vote 411 website on your telephone, on your iPhones. Okay, so just a short quiz, and I know all of you will get this. Who can register to vote in North Carolina? Well, that's easy. You have to be a US citizen. You have to be 18 years or old before or on or before general election day, which is November the 8th. You have to be a legal resident of the county you plan to vote for 30 days before the election. And finally, this is something new. Citizens who are not currently in jail or in prison for a felony conviction. Okay, so people who have misdemeanor convictions and are in jail can vote, but people who are not in jail for felony convictions can register and vote. Okay. Good. So how does the registration process work in North Carolina? Well, basically is you fill out a North Carolina voter registration form, which are available all sorts of places, like online, at the DMV, and also at a portal that we will talk about soon. Then you fill it out, you mail it to your county board of elections 25 days before the election. And the Board of Elections verifies your identity, and the Board of Election contacts you. You either get a voter registration card listing your polling place and your precinct in mail, or if there is some kind of information that the Board of Election needs from you regarding your voter registration form, they will contact you. Okay. So most of us who come into the state and we are new, we can just register when we go to get our driver's license. So the DMV has a process that they can register us. But also there is this very nice tool that the North Carolina DMV, along with the North Carolina Board of Elections, started a couple years ago. And this is where you can actually go, and those of us who have a North Carolina DMV issued driver's license or an ID card can go onto this site, and they can change their address and update any kind of information on their voter registration form. The only thing they cannot do is they cannot change their names. You can still use this site even if you don't have a DMV issued driver's license or an ID card. At the site, you can still download the North Carolina voter registration form, fill it out, sign it, date it, and submit it. Like I said, there are three ways to vote in North Carolina. You can vote absentee by mail, and that is a no excuse absentee voting process. What does that mean? That means that you don't have to be out of the state. You don't have to be ill. You don't have to be disabled. You can just request to vote by mail. It is very safe. But what you need is to request an absentee ballot. The ballot is not automatically sent to your house. You need to request it. And the Board of Elections starts to mail out the ballot. This year, they have already started on September the 9th. The deadline to return the absentee ballot is November 8th, 5 p.m. Okay. The other way that you can vote is, of course, in person during early or one-stop voting. And in North Carolina, this is a good 2.5 weeks. It's from October 20th to November 5th. And it also includes some Sunday sites. The beauty of this early one-stop voting is that you can register and vote at that time. It's less crowded. It is actually the most beloved way to vote in North Carolina. People love to vote early. It's a greater reliability that your vote will be counted in the sense that it will be there, your ballot will be there. And you have access, it maximizes the access to a greater number of voters. And of course, you can vote in person on election day on November the 8th. So like I said, one of the processes is absentee ballot. You can vote absentee or by mail. But the first thing you need to do is request your absentee ballot. So where do you get this request form? North Carolina State Board of Elections has an absentee ballot portal. This is terrific. You can just go anytime. You can fill in this form and then submit it, okay? Or if you don't want to, you can download the most current absentee ballot request form, and then from the North Carolina or your county Board of Election website, fill it out and then mail it in. Or you can actually call your county or North Carolina Board of Election and ask them to send one to you by mail, email, or by fax. Okay. Step 2, of course, is once you get this, you need to fill it out. Okay. And this, as I said, you need to fill out the most current. This, as you can see up here, it says 2022 absentee ballot request form. There have been multiple variations in the last couple of years. So make sure you see that 2022 on there and fill it out. And again, it's very, very simple. You need to just follow the directions. And they've made it simple by putting down all the things that you are required to fill in. In requesting the absentee ballot, you are required to fill in your date of birth and a form of ID, either your driver's license or the last 4 of your Social Security card. So you can not only fill in for somebody else, for yourself, but you can also fill in for somebody else. For example, I can fill it in for my son who lives in Boston and will be voting for North Carolina. So I can fill it in for him and have it sent to him. So who can do this for? Who can request an absentee ballot? Close family members or your guardian. By close family members, it's also written on the website. The close family members includes your spouse, your siblings, parents, step-parents, children, stepchildren, grandparents, step-grandparents, or of course your guardians. There's another part for military and overseas. Again, you need to sign it and date it. Another cool thing in North Carolina, and in most states also have it, is you can track the status of your mail ballot from the time you sent it to them with this process called ballot tracks. And this is ballot tracks. You can track your request ballot and you can track your voted ballot through this process. All right. Okay, so step 3. You need be prepared when you are voting by mail, be prepared that you're going to be required to have 2 witnesses or 1 notary in order to vote by mail in North Carolina. They need to verify that you yourself actually voted. So the County Board of Elections will start to mail in the ballot along with the return envelope. And they have already started doing this on September 9th. So you need to mark your ballot secretly, of course, but in the presence of your 2 witnesses or the notary. And the witnesses have to be adult. They have to be 18 years old or older. Okay. And the witness can be your spouse. Only family members, guardians, and Board of Election teams can help you mark the ballot. Once you have voted, you take your voted ballot and you put it into the official ballot envelope and complete the certification process. Here are some dates that are really important. So the last day I mentioned to return your absentee ballot to the County Board of Elections is 5 p.m. on election day, November the 8th. Your ballots will also be counted if it is postmarked on or before November the 8th and arrives latest 5 p.m. on November 14th. Again, you can track your ballot through this ballot tracks process. Okay, so I'm going to show you now the envelope and the certification process. As I said, you need to vote in privacy in the presence of adult witnesses or a notary. You seal the ballot in the return envelope, sign the envelope. 2 witnesses or notary and helper each must sign and provide their addresses. So this is the return envelope. Okay, this is the front of it. You do need to put a stamp, and it's a 60-cent stamp or a forever stamp. And this is the back of the envelope. And there are lots of instructions, and the instructions are really pretty clear. So all you need to do is follow it. First is the voters needs to sign here. Second step is that you need to have your first witness print their name, their address, and sign it. And then the second witness print their name, address, and sign it. Or you need to have the notary public fill in the information, put in the state seal. And then again, there's another part, is the assistant. If somebody assisted the voter in voting or in mailing this envelope, that person has to put their name and sign it. Okay. Again, Ballot Tracks is a terrific tool. You can follow your envelope this way, or your ballot. So, can you change your mind? If you, let's say, have received an absentee ballot by mail, you can still vote in person. All you have to do is destroy the ballot that you received. That means just tear it up. Okay, and then you can go and vote in person during early voting time or on election day. Okay, what is early voting? Early voting is, as I said, the most common voting process that people in North Carolina use. It is a lovely 2-week time. It starts on October 20th and goes all the way through November the 5th. You can register and vote during this time. It is really less crowded. The voter can be confident that their vote will be counted. It maximizes people who lack sort of standard mail delivery, and displaced voters can vote, and best option for disabled voters. Okay. The same-day registration during early voting requires proof of residency when you are registering to vote during same-day voter registration. And these are some acceptable forms of proofs of residency. A DMV, North Carolina DMV issued ID or driver's license, some form of photo ID from the government that has your name and address on it, a copy of your utility bill, bank statement, government check, etc. And for students, a current photo ID issued by the college or the university that shows the student's name and the on-campus address. So you need to be prepared and come with these proofs of residency when you go to register and vote during same-day registration. The State Board of Elections have come up with some really nice tools recently. This is a way that you can find your one-stop voting site. So that is the North Carolina, so NC, State Board of Elections.gov, one-stop site. When you go there, as you know, you can vote only in your county during one-stop voting. So registration county, you just scroll down and find your county. I chose Chatham County. Now Chatham County, then you see the different one-stop voting sites in Chatham County. There are 5, and they're shown here in a nice little map, and they're listed here by address. There are 3 listed here, and then you of course press next. I clicked on Goldston Town Hall, and then you see, and you have the directions over there, and then you have the sites, the days and times that you can vote listed on there. And you have the Chatham County Board of Elections phone number. So this is really terrific. You can find that out for every county. Now, Orange County and Durham County has gone one step further, and they have the same thing, the mapping, the address. They even include a photo of the voting location. And then you can map your polling place either by foot, public transportation, biking, driving, etc. So this is pretty good. Again, these are some really nifty tools that the Board of Elections has for us now. Okay, oops, sorry. And then of course there is in-person election day voting. And the polls open from 6:30 to 7:30. Is it less crowded? I don't know. Voters can be confident that their vote will be counted. And here are some deadlines for you to remember. So voter registration deadline is October the 14th at 5 p.m. Requests for absentee ballot, either by the portal or through your state or through your Board of Elections, is November 1st, 5 p.m. Absentee mail voting, absentee by mail voting period is September 9th through Election Day, November 8th, 5 p.m. One-stop or same-day registration, one-stop early voting period is from October 20th at 8 a.m. to Saturday, November 5th, 5 p.m. 3 p.m. And Election Day, of course, is Tuesday, November 8th. Polls open at 6:30 a.m. and they close at 7:30 p.m. Here is a slide with all sorts of really good resources. We have our Orange County Board of Elections, Chatham County Board of Elections, Durham County Board of Elections, North Carolina State Board of Elections, and of course, our website. I will pause here and take any questions. So,
There's one question in the chat.
Yes. So you will vote by absentee. Can someone carry my ballot in the envelope to the, or by voting site, you mean early voting site rather than me putting it in the mail? So if so, who can carry the ballot for me? Only a family member, and that person is going to have to fill out the name on that envelope if they are carrying your ballot. That means they are helping you vote. Yes, somebody can, but that person has to be a family member, member of the Board of Elections, or your guardian. Okay. Okay. I am now going to turn it over to Val. Oops. Sorry about this. I did not expect it to go to the beginning. Okay, Val, you're on.
The first answer to your question is, will Chatham have early voting? Yes, they will have early voting on both Sundays, in October and one in early November. And we'll talk, well, let me just go ahead and say that the league spent, at least the Chatham League, spent quite a bit of time trying to get people to write in to encourage Sunday voting. So having been successful in getting the state to approve it, we want people to use it. I'm voting on Sunday during early voting because I want to make sure that people vote on Sunday so that we don't maybe not have to go through this next year, because we've had to do it every time during the election. So that's just my 2 cents worth. Okay, that's my personal 2 cents worth. All right, so what is Vote 411? Next slide. It's an award-winning website, in case you didn't know that. It's actually vote411.org is a better way to remember it, but it was developed by the League of Women Voters Education Fund in 2006, and it's been growing in popularity ever since. It's in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and a few other places. Technically, it's a relational database that relies on multiple sources of input. And then the big thing is the output, the public output, which is the website, vote411.org. Next slide. And this particular slide right here kind of captures everything in one. And we put the .org on it, even though national usually doesn't use the .org. But the information in red tells you everything that's available in Vote 411 every day, 365 days a year. You can verify your registration. You can link to registration forms that Krishna talked about. You can explore state voting laws, and we're going to explore a little bit of that today. You can review the first-time voters checklist. And then as we get close to an election, and this time will be about 6 weeks, maybe not 6 weeks, we're the third, yeah, a month, excuse me, be a month before we vote. We publish the voter's guide. And the voter guide is a community-specific one-stop shop for voting. That means you use your personal physical address. And the important thing that comes out in the voter guide is the list of candidates on your ballot. And since the league has already asked questions of those candidates, you can see the candidates' answers. You can compare those answers to one another. And you can prepare a draft, if you want to call it that. It's not the actual ballot, but you can get a list of candidates that and you can check off who you want to vote for. So you can take that with you to the poll. And also you can find your polling place and get a map. Next slide. So then how is it developed? The state, national, it's a collaborative effort between National League, contractors they hired to do the systems and software development, and then technical tasks that the states and local leagues like us perform that actually put together the voter guide. And it takes a lot of work. Next slide. These are the technical activities that we do. And the state does it for the state candidates, but we do it for local candidates. And we have developed questions, and the biggest portion of it is reaching out to the candidates, trying to find a hook that will get them to respond to the questions that we ask. And it takes a lot of work to do that. So we have a team of people who do that. And on occasion, when we can't find everyone, oh, somebody has a vote for one. Yeah, I think you can use it. Yeah. We like to get people to help us, because what we have found is that sometimes the personal connection to people will help to get people to vote. So if an individual knows a person who's running for office and that person hasn't responded, we'll try to get particularly people on the ODC board to reach out to those people and say, hey, look, I heard you haven't responded, can you? And hopefully that will help. And then we're going to discuss a little bit more about our publicity campaign, and we're open to any ideas. Next slide. Okay, this timeline really kind of overlays the last timeline, but the important thing on this one is that between September 17th and September 30th, Vote 411 statewide will be published. The state has already published some of the statewide statewide candidates, but the local teams have not published yet. And I make a point of that so that when I show you what's in Vote 411, you won't get upset. So next slide. What are the goals for Vote 411? I kind of like data. So the state likes data, everybody likes data. We use it to prove our point. But what we're trying to do this year is to increase the rate at which candidates respond to our questions. 70% response rate is pretty good, actually. In the primary before, ODC has done pretty well. We've improved since 2018. Our usage, that means the number of individuals who actually click either on the computer or on their cell phone, is not as high as it should be, considering the number of people who live in our 3 counties. But the good news is we're 3rd in the state, and we increased over 140% from 2018. ODC has only really been participating in Vote 411, I think, since 2016. So we've come a long ways, but there is much room to grow, and that's what we would like to do. Next slide. Oops, I put some animations in here. So anyway, this is the computer version, and what you would see on your computer screen or on your laptop or on your not your smartphone, but on a tablet like an iPad or Kindle or something like that. You can see a little bit more. So you can see on the home page, there's information on register to vote, verify your registration, and then finding out what's on your ballot. If you were to click on any one of those, most of them will go to the website. The information is on somebody else's website. And so you end up going to the State Board of Elections, mostly to find out this information. Except to find out what's on your ballot is actually on the database and the website that we put together. And the homepage allows you to put in your address so that you can find out all of this information. Next slide. And then, of course, if you just scroll down from the home page, you'll see this nice, pretty map. And all you do is either click on the state or type in your state, and you can get you can find all of the voting rules in North Carolina or whatever state you happen to be in. And then there are links within all of that information to the official location. If you're looking at the absentee ballot for information, it's highlighted. It will actually link you with the form, with the that site where you can request an absentee ballot. And it also links you to the ballot tracks. And all those other links are there. And then of course, if you know someone who's a first-time voter, you can tell them to go to Vote 411 and it will tell them everything they need to know to register, to find their polling place, how to find out what's on their ballot, how to check, and then vote. Next slide. Okay, now this is what people really look for, the voter guide. And you type in your address, your street address, a physical location, any city, and then your zip code, and you submit it. Next slide. And when you do that, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff. Most important things are you see that the the election is November 8th, and it has the registration deadline. And the interesting thing about what they've done in here, they have actually told you that the online registration or the mail-in registration has to get in by October 14th, but it also lets you know that you can register in person up to November 5th, which means up through the early voting period. And Krishna's already talked about that. And this is my address, so it tells me all this stuff where my election day site, and then the closest early voting site. And of course, next slide, it tells you up here, go to races. So that's what you want to find out who's on your ballot. Next slide, please. And so I just took a sample of what we have on the site. Right now, there are 7 races that I would have to, that are online currently, that will be on my ballot. But I've also listed all of the other races that you'll have to vote on in November. And as you can see, there's a pretty long list, but there are only 7 so far. And that's because the state has already published the statewide races that people will have to vote on. That's mostly Senate, Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court. All of the other races are really considered local races. And the House, the US House, US Senate, NC Senate, NC House, District Attorney, Clerk of Supreme Court, Boards of Education, the Sheriff, Register of Deeds, Soil and Water Conservation Supervisor. The important thing, if you don't pay attention to anything else on this page, is it's a long ballot. So whether you go to the polls not knowing anything, you're probably going to spend some time there trying to figure out who you want to vote for. So the best thing to do is to go to Vote 411 after September 30th, because that's when all of the races will be there, and you can find anything you want to know about the candidates. Next slide. And to find out what you want to know about the candidates, remember on the previous page, it said there were 7 races. So this slide tells you that I'm looking at one of 7 races. The US Senate race is the first one that's listed here. So I just picked to show you what it looks like when you first click on it. You'll see all of the candidates, and you'll see some of the candidates have a nice picture and it's in color. And it generally means that the person has responded already to our Vote 411 questionnaire. And I'm usually 100% correct on that, but it's not 100% correct this time with this race. I just looked. Shannon Bray, who is the Libertarian candidate, has added his picture, but he hasn't answered any questions. So the candidates can go in and take their time to fill out the information. They can go back and forth multiple times, so they don't do it all in one setting. Next time I check on it, Shannon Bray may have answered some questions, but he had not answered them today. And so, next slide. So what you want to do is to pick candidates that you want to read about and you want to see their answers. So I picked the 2 people who have in fact answered the questions. And just to give you a sample of what Vote 411 can do. And I put in red letters This is a unique feature of Vote 411. Most other online voter guides do not allow you to compare on a side-by-side basis what each candidate, how each candidate responded to a given question. This only lets you look at 2 candidates at a time, but you just go back and forth and pick them. Unfortunately, when we get to the phone version, cell phone version, you can't do the side-by-side comparison. But if you're using a computer or a laptop or a tablet, you can see the side-by-side. And it's obvious because it requires a lot of information to be on the page at once. Next slide. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, go back, please. And when you're doing this, if you're trying to create a ballot that you can take with you, so you won't have to try to remember all those names again, you will have checked it off. There's a little square up by each person's name. After you've read everything they said and compared whoever you want to compare, and you decide, oh, I think I want to vote for this person. You can just click on that person's name and it'll be a check mark there. Next slide. And after you've gone through all of the candidates, and I just went through randomly and picked every other candidate, and you can produce this type of list that you can print out and take with you to the poll, or you can use it if you're doing your absentee ballot at home after you've done your research. And I believe that might be a unique feature of Vote 411. I'm not prepared to stand by and say absolutely it is, but I suspect it is. Next slide. Any question? Okay.
Val?
Go ahead.
Yes.
I have a comment
Yeah.
about does the site save your answers? And does the site remember? Does it mine your answers?
No. The site does not save any of your information. Once you print it out and leave the site, it's done. Your browser might remember your name when you go back in to start over again, but the Vote 411 site does not capture any of your information. It does not save any of your information. Anytime you go back in there, and if you had checked the mark before, if you had checked a box before, if you go back, it won't be checked. So if you're going to use it if you're not going to finish your review in one setting, when you print your ballot out, you probably have different pieces of paper that you have checked everyone. But though the system does not save that information, it doesn't capture it. You won't be getting any emails from them either. Not from the voter guide portion of it. Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm doing some canvassing for an organization in Durham, and I was wondering if I could use this as part of my canvassing, if I could show this to people and have them click on it or give them a copy.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
That's publicly available information.
Okay.
We put it in bathrooms, so so anybody can go in the bathroom and get it.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on anybody's toes or
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and the good thing about what you're doing there is, if you're talking to a really young person and the person is really good at their phone, they'll just scan the QR code and it takes them right to Vote 411. So
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. It's a really nice tool.
We appreciate your effort too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And now I'm just going to spend a few minutes describing the difference between the computer and your cell phone. You can see, I showed you before, you see in a horizontal way the things that you can do and the place where you can fill in your name and stuff on the computer. But on the phone, all you're going to see is the 3 things that you can do: register, verify your registration, or check out your ballot on the home page. Next page, Krishna. But if you scroll down, if you just scroll up, you'll see the computer has the top part where I showed you before, and that's the map. Now on the mobile app, you can get a map as well, but it will take you a few other steps to get to all of the information on the voting rules. Next slide. And I made it a little bit bigger just so you can see what you're going to see. If you click on North Carolina, either type in North Carolina or click on the state of North Carolina, you're going to get this one page that will tell you what deadlines are. Next click. And the first thing that's going to show up, if you scroll up, continue to scroll, will be the absentee ballot process. And that's because we put it in alphabetical order. Next slide. And next click, rather. Okay, and you see down here, it says absentee ballot portal. Next click. If you click there, it will take you to the North Carolina absentee ballot portal. And you can do that on the computer too, but I just wanted to show you how it works on the phone, because you have to look at each page. Next slide. And this is just a duplicate just to show you a little bit more. Next click. The first thing that comes up, of course, is the absentee ballot process. And then there's a click down arrow. If you click on that, next click, it will overlay the other information that's included in the North Carolina voting file at the State Board of Elections. And you can see all of that, and then you can click on one of those. Next slide, next click rather. And if you keep going down, you'll come back to this other place again that will let you find what's on your ballot, find your polling place, and then learn more about registering. So there are multiple places, both on the computer and on the phone, where you can get any information you need. And that's why we say one-stop shop. Next click. Okay, and this is on your phone. Again, you get the same kind of stuff, and you have to fill in your address. Next slide, next click. And after you do that, you will get the same form that you saw before. Get the same list of candidates. Right now, there are only 7, but there will be, I don't know how many, close to 25 or so. Next click. And if you click on one of them, you will get as much information as will fit on that screen. In the case of the Senate, there are 4 people, so it all fits. But if there are more candidates, which there may not be for each race, there's probably only 3 or 4 candidates for each race. But if there were more, you could just scroll up and you would see them all. Next click, please. Oh, okay, yeah. And 2 more clicks. I just wanted to point out to you that this is the telephone. Your phone will say that you can compare side by side, but you really can't, because there's just not enough space. 2 more clicks and I just put the slide in there so that people will be highlighted to the fact that you cannot do the side by side comparison on your phone. Okay, next slide, not next click. And again, I clicked on Sherry Beasley. She was the first person on there, and you can see her answers, and you would scroll up to see all of her answers. Next. And I just thought it was good for people to know that if you clicked on there and you wanted to find your election day polling place, you've already put your name in, as long as you're still in the system. Otherwise, you got to put your name in again. It will tell me where I can vote on election day. 1 more click. And it says, you see down here, sample ballots. You can get a sample ballot. I only took a shot of 1 page of the sample ballot, but it also shows you that there are many more races on the ballot that are currently in vote 411. But on September 30th, probably October 1st, but September 30th is the day to publish. Everything will be there. And I believe that's my last slide. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh gosh, I forgot about this. How could I forget about this? Mr. Debbie Kennedy is already doing some of this for us. I said that we will also have to monitor the PR campaign. And this really is a team effort among the Vote 411 administrators and all the members of the league. We're going to have roadside signs. We have bookmarks and flyers like the one that was just shown. Our online activities are very important because this is an online system, being a website. And doing online stuff, it is easier for a person to get to their website. If you post something on your next door, if you put it on Facebook, on Instagram or Twitter. And then there are within communities these chat lists. They call them listservs. Within certain communities, there's one in Chatham County that says Chatham chat list or something. And I usually put an article in there, and I think 6,000 people belong to that chat list. So you can reach out to a lot of people. And of course, we do our ordinary media outlet information. And we have media gurus who do the radio, who do the newspaper ads. And then we're available for radio. So if you all have any friends in radio, contact us and we'd be happy to talk to them. And then the other thing that we would like to increase our visibility with is partner organizations. And that is other nonprofit organizations. If we can talk to them and get them to put our widget on their website, it helps a lot. Next slide, Krishna. This is our yard sign, and it's big and bold. And I think we've had some positive outcomes because we posted these in many, many places. We put out probably 120 signs for the primary. We lost some of them, so we have to make some decisions about how many we're going to replace. Next slide. And this is just examples of all of the other types of online activities that we do. And I mentioned the widget. The widget is you see it here, but it is an electronic program that goes on the website of a partner organization, where I also volunteer with Chatham Habitat for Humanity. So if someone is checking the Habitat site and they see the word vote or learn to vote, and they go and click there, they can click on this widget and go directly to the Vote 411 site from a partner organization. That's why it's important if we can get partner organizations to put our widget on their website. And this is Facebook. And this is a simple next door post. We'll have to rewrite some of those. Actually, that may not be so bad. And then the other thing that I have encouraged people to do, I've done it myself for quite a while, is to adjust your email signature so that every time you send an email to a friend, you remind them, vote and get your voting information here. It's nonpartisan. And I've gotten some good feedback from friends who didn't know I was doing that. And bad news is they're out of state, so I didn't get any credit. But but the system got credit, so that's what we're looking for also. And I do believe that is the last slide, right? Oops, nope, fooled again. My memory. But this was just an opportunity to reiterate that we do need help. There are 4 of us on the team, and we can't cover everything. So we do need people to help install and retrieve the road signs. You have to pick them up the day of the election. We need people when we're going to have events or something, and there are a couple events I want to mention. We need people to staff our tables. We need people to distribute the materials. We have bumper stickers that if people want to display a bumper sticker, they can get a bumper sticker from us. Okay. And the bumper sticker looks something like what's in the left corner. And the other thing that I wanted to make sure we all understand, this is for members, is that we're trying to get a North Carolina specialty license plate for the league. And some of the funds that will be collected from the annual renewals of a specialty plate versus just a regular plate will go to help support Vote 411 efforts. So if you are interested in that, please contact the state. It's on the state website. We don't have a link. We might have a link on our website, but It's just a reminder. It's actually, I like the way the license plate looks. Of course, I like purple too. But I am convinced, I know now that this is the last one. So thank you. Okay, so Krishna.
Okay. Thank you, Val. We are a small group, so please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask questions, comments.
The answer, first of all, to the one about the 2020 sign, the only difference is it doesn't have the .org on it. Everything else is the same. So please, we have to reuse some of the older ones too.
Where can we get the yard signs, Val?
I knew somebody who asked me a question I couldn't answer. We are right now working on determining exactly how many we have and reassessing where we're going to need them. But we will be able to have a central location, or at least a person that you can go to. Right now, if you live in Durham, Judy Dillon is the person who is coordinating the Durham effort with the signs. And Judy Lechner, who I forgot to remind about this, is coordinated the one for Orange. And I'm coordinating the one for Chatham. So right now, people who want them, we would need to contact one of those three people. But we don't know how many signs we have, and we don't know where that person will be available to give them to you. But we would like for some help in distributing them.
For the signs, just to, as a small reminder, if you have a Vote 411 sign now, the only place you can post it now is on your property. You can't post it outside. These are considered political signs. So there are specific times that you can do them, and that's during the early voting time and just pretty much one day after election is over. So those are the reasons we control access to these signs, because we're not allowed to post them anywhere but our own properties. And we will let you know those specific dates and where exactly you can post them.
And some jurisdictions actually require you to put a deposit down.
Yes.
Chatham, Pittsburgh, especially, you have to put a deposit down. And the theory is that if you don't come to pick it back up, you lose your deposit.
And the thing is that
it's only $50. It's only $50.
They will pick it up for you.
Right, and put it in the trap.
Yeah. So
and still keep your money.
Do they make you put a deposit down for each sign you put out?
No, just one $50 deposit, unlimited signs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we found some of them that we thought had been lost. That was in 2020 though, behind the Pittsburgh City Hall, that trash collectors or somebody had thrown them back there.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge.
Any other questions about the election process, Vote 411? If you have organizations that you know would like to hear Val and me talk, give the same talk, please reach out to us. I will put my email in the chat box and Val will do the same. If you have your church organization, your women's organization, your community pickleball organization, whoever perhaps wants to listen to our talk, please have them contact us. We'll do the rest. We'll do the rest. Okay. I'll just put my email address.
Okay.
And I think I just put mine in there too. So if you want to help in any way, please contact us. And by the way, Krishna, I think I got a contact from the Chatham Senior Center. They want us to come on November 7th, I think. I'll send you the details.
Yeah, we were contacted by the Sikh temple in Durham. They want us to come and give talks to both of their temples and register voters. So
That's great.
that is really great. Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
And we'll be doing one at the courtyards at South Point
correct.
on October 17th.
Any organization, even if in a library, if you are part of a library, you know, or if you're a group of friends want us to, if you're newcomers and want us to give this talk, let us know. We're happy to help. Any questions about the election process, about absentee voting, early voting? I would really encourage you to go and vote early. It's a smooth process and it's less crowded. It's 2.5 weeks. And with the website from the North Carolina State Board of Elections, you can actually find out where to go and when exactly the polling times and places and days are. You can find those out. Okay, then.
Okay.
If there are no questions, thank you for joining us. And
you.
We'll see you next month.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.